We're snatching artifacts and pointing fingers. That's right, it's the Grimm Masquerade from Skybound Games. This social deduction strategy game pits 2 to 5 fairy tale characters against one another at an epic party thrown by the Beast. They're competing to acquire the most roses and become the belle of the ball. Setup begins with the game board placed center. Below that, place the point the finger board face up. Take the 6 action cards and randomly deal 2 down on either side of the point the finger board, then place the remaining cards face down. Shuffle the artifact cards and place them face down to form the artifact deck. Create a supply of rose tokens and place the rose trophies in a stack with the highest value trophy on the bottom. Each player then takes 7 evidence tokens of a single color. Shuffle the identity cards and deal 1 face down to each player. These are the hidden identities for the round. Each player should look at them secretly and not share them with anyone. Place the remaining identity cards face down to form the identity deck. Next, reveal artifacts equal to the number of players plus 2 and arrange them below the point the finger board. The player who most recently wore a costume is the first player. In clockwise order, starting with the first player, everyone selects 1 artifact from the face-up row. Remaining artifacts go into a discard pile next to the artifact deck. The masquerade is ready to begin. The Grimm Masquerade occurs over 3 rounds, during which players will attempt to accrue the most roses. Whomever has the most at the end of the game is the winner. Each round, a player has a new character for their secret identity. Their goal is to conceal their own identity while trying to unmask the identity of their opponents. Each identity card contains a boon artifact in the top left and a bane artifact in the bottom right. If a player can collect 3 of their boon artifacts, they immediately win the round. If a player ever collects 2 of their bane artifacts, though, in a round, they are unmasked and their identity is revealed. Gameplay occurs in turns, during which a player first draws artifacts by drawing a single artifact from the artifact deck. They may then either keep that artifact or give it to another player. Then the active player draws a second card from the artifact deck and must choose the opposite action from their first card. These new cards are placed face up in each player's tableau. Depending on the cards in front of them, a few things may happen to a player. If a player has 2 matching artifacts, they must place an evidence token on the character who has that artifact as their bane, showing they are not that character. If this is their own character, they're unmasked. If a player has 3 matching artifacts of their boon type, they reveal their identity and win the round, taking the rose trophy from the top of the pile. If it's not their boon type, they place an evidence token on that character to show that is not their identity. After drawing and distributing artifacts, players also have the option to discard a pair of matching artifacts to use a special action during their turn. The point the finger action is always available and allows the active player to guess the identity of another player. If they are correct, the player is unmasked and the accuser gains 2 rose tokens. If they are incorrect, the identity remains a secret and the accused gains 1 rose token. The falsely accused player then places an evidence token on that character on the board. Each round, 2 new action options become available, including things like peeking at the guest list by looking at the identity deck, or give a thoughtful gift by giving an opponent an artifact and forcing them to give you 2 in return. They must be random. Once a player is unmasked, either by having 2 of their bane items or by having the finger pointed at them, they reveal their identity, cover their character on the board, and remove all evidence tokens from that character. Nobody else can be them. They then take all artifacts into their hand from in front of them and no longer win the round by having 3 boons. But they can still play in the round by drawing an artifact on their turn, adding it to their hand, and then giving 1 artifact to another player. In this way, they can still gain roses by unmasking other players. Players continue their turns until a round ends by either all but 1 player being unmasked or a player collecting their 3 boon artifacts. At the end of the round, the winner takes a trophy and setup begins for the next round. The first player designation passes to the player with the least roses. The 2 action cards are discarded and replaced with 2 new actions. The character cards are shuffled and redealt to each player. All artifacts are returned and reset to the number of players plus 2. Each player, starting with the first, takes an artifact, and the remaining 2 are placed in the discard. Play continues until the end of the 3rd round, at which point the player with the most roses wins. Or if a player ever has 10 roses at the end of a round, they also win. And that's the basics for the Grimm Masquerade. Once you have a few games under your belt, there's a trove of advanced options to add, including wager cards for players to gamble on which characters might win the round, treasure tokens, which can pair with artifacts for cheaper actions, and special character abilities helpful for the player with the fewest roses. I'm Becca Scott, and I think if I were to be turned into an animated piece of furniture, I'd be a chaise lounge, because I like saying chaise lounge, chaise lounge. You can watch me and my friends play this game and other awesome games on Game the Game right here on Geek and Sundry. We'll see you there.